Hi, Hannah. Did you order some pizzas?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Glad I said 2:05. I could have said 2:07, but anyway.
You didn't give me enough
Okay,
time.
I'm
You
just
didn't give
set.
me enough time. Next time it should be 2:30. That's okay. We'll go ahead? Okay. All right. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome back. Thank you, everyone, for being patient with us today. So, good afternoon, everyone, for those who are listening and tuned in. Today is March 9th, 2023. We are going to be in our afternoon session for the City of Toronto Scarborough District Committee of Adjustment hearing. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx Webinar, which is an online digital platform, and it's streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using the WebEx webinar, which is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist. When your item is being held, during this time your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5 minutes allocated speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use share screen option or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. Before we begin, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that apply to a property, permissions to extend or alter lawful nonconforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body TLAB or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal, the OLT. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. As of November 28, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, those that are terms defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. In terms of the hearing procedure, I will call each item in the order as it's listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are advised to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters that have been outlined in the application. We are certainly here to hear your concerns, but repeating the same comments will not advance your cause. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it's substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to receive the notice of application are informed of the changes. That individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. We are in our afternoon session, and I would like to ask if there are any declarations of interest of panel or staff for items that are listed in this time slot, so items 18 to 23. Staff, any conflicts?
Through the chair, there are none from staff.
Thank you. And from the panel members, are there any declarations of interest? I see none. All right. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any requests for deferral for the afternoon session?
Through the chair, there are 2 deferral requests for the afternoon session. The first one is item 19, minor variance application for 2328 to 2350 Kingston Road. Deferral sine die at the request of the applicant to address concerns identified by Community Planning and Transportation Services.
Thank you, Colin. Can we please have the applicant, Robert Lavacchio? Hello?
Yes, my name is Rob Vecchi with KML Partners. We're here representing the applicant, and per Colin, there we are going to request deferral so that we can have further discussions with planning staff and transportation staff related to variances.
Thank you, Robert, for confirming that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for or comments on the request for deferral? I see none. All right. Can I please have a motion on this request for deferral? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I move deferral, sine die for this item.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to defer the application sine die. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Colin, what's the next request for deferral?
Through the chair, the last deferral request for the afternoon session is for item number 23, consent and minor variance applications for 135 Leyton Avenue. Deferral to the April 4th hearing to correctly identify the requested consent.
Thank you. Is the applicant with us, Jonathan Biskowski? He's not? Okay. So the applicant is not here, but staff is advised of a request for deferral to the April hearing. Staff, please go ahead.
Through the chair, the applicant has been advised and they are in support of the deferral request.
Perfect, thank you. So the applicant has been advised and they have no concerns with the request for deferral, and staff is also going to bring it back to the April hearing. Any questions or concerns with this request? I see none. All right. Can I have a motion, please? Member Gary, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, then I would move deferral of this item 23 to our April 4th Committee of Adjustment hearing.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? Oh, seconder. Member Macaulay, go ahead.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Members Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been deferred. Thank you. Are there any further requests for deferral, Colin?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you. All right, so we have dealt with the 2 requests of deferral for the afternoon session. Now we're going to start with the vetting of the agenda. The first item is item 18 for 80 Commonwealth Avenue. And I note that we have a registered speaker to speak with us on this application, so we will hold down this item and come back. This is 80 Commonwealth Avenue being held for further discussion. Item 20, 137 FLORA Drive.
To the chair, the registered speaker is not present.
All right, so the registered speaker for item 20 is not online. So I believe we can move forward with this application through the vetting. So I would like to call upon the applicant, Peter Jerusik, please. Peter, you with us?
I am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Peter. So Peter, we have your application for minor variance for 137 Flora Drive. Do you have any comments at this time?
No comments unless I have any questions from the committee.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Peter on this application, 137 Flora Drive? I see none. I just want to confirm if there were any conditions of approval recommended. I don't believe so. There was just a comment letter from Metrolinx, but there were no objections, and that's about it.
Through
Sorry.
the chair, this is item 20.
My apologies, okay. Item 20, 137 Flora, my apologies for that. Yes, there are conditions of urban forestry, and there is a condition of community planning. Peter, are you aware of those conditions? And then-
Yes, I'm familiar with the conditions for community planning to tie the drawings to the site elevation and the site plan, and we're fine with that.
Okay, and urban forestry as well?
As always, yes, no problems with urban forestry comments.
Okay. Committee members? If there are no questions or comments, can I please have a motion? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for approval of item 20, subject to community planning staff report recommendations and urban forestry condition number 1 and 2.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been approved, subject to conditions. Thank you. Moving to item 21. Item 21 is 22 EXFORD Drive, and I don't see any registered speaker. Can we please have the applicant, Patrick McAuliffe?
Yes, I'm Patrick McAuliffe is here.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Patrick? Okay, I see none, and I don't see there's any conditions or comments. This is indeed a very straightforward application, and there is only 2 variances requested for the construction of a new carport. Okay, Patrick, any comment?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Members of the committee, can I please have a motion? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, it's a pretty straightforward application with 2 variances, and I believe both these variances are minor and appropriate. Madam Chair, therefore, I put forward motion for approval of item 21, and we have no conditions for this approval.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Igor, please go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'll second that motion for approval.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 22 is 24 North Woodrow Boulevard. I note that there's 1 speaker registered to speak with us on this, so I'm going to hold down this item. Item 22 for 24 North Woodrow Boulevard is being held for further discussion. And that's it. Okay, so just confirming, we have held item 18 and item 22. Thank you. So we'll start with the first item that's held, item 18. Can we have Patrick McAuliffe, the applicant? This is for 80 Commonwealth Avenue.
Yes, Patrick's here.
Patrick, we have your application before us
Yes.
for 80 Commonwealth Avenue, and it is, there's 2 variances that's before the committee, and this pertains to legalizing and maintaining the 2nd-story addition at the rear with a balcony. Any comments at this time?
Yes, I'd like to explain what's happened here. The owner of this house, by the way, had a single-story addition on the back of it. So the owner, when they bought this house, they decided they wanted to put a balcony over top of this single-story addition. Once they did that, next thing you know, they received an order to comply because they didn't bother to get a building permit. So I was called in dealing with them, they decided that rather than having a balcony over top of this, they'd like to have a bedroom extension. So we did the drawings for that, knowing that there was an order to comply on this, and we did it for a one-bedroom extension over top. We applied for the permit, and it went through the code review. It's already cleared that, and it's cleared everything else except that when it got to zoning discovered that the single-story addition, which had been built in two parts, half of it had been built at the time that the house had been built, and the northerly part of it was built afterwards, and it was built without an addition, without a building permit. So as a result of this, the issues that are going to committee have nothing to do with the second floor bedroom addition. All of that meets the zoning and building code requirements. This is only to do with the single-story addition that was built 40 years ago on the first floor.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Patrick? Okay, I see none. All right. Thank you, Patrick. We have no questions so far. We'll come back to you once we speak with the neighbor. So can we please have the neighbor, Vijay Lakshmi Roy? Okay. Hello?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Vijay Lakshmi, could you please state your name and address and tell us what your concerns are?
My name is Vidya Roy. I currently have new neighbors, and
You're getting cut out, Vijay.
additions are being made to the property.
No, there's a lot of feedback and you're cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's choppy and it's this feedback. Carry on and we'll see how this goes. No, we can't hear you.
To my property, to my fence. Truly,
Sorry, Vijay, we cannot hear you.
I'm not sure what I'm.
Okay. So staff is recommending that you sign out and sign back in, and maybe that was, or call from a phone, and the number is 416-915-6530. Hello? Hello? Sorry.
Hello?
Yes. Hello? Can you say something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, so I would recommend that you mute all your other devices and only stick to one.
Is that better?
No. Can you log out of WebEx? Log out of WebEx and just stay on this phone.
Hello?
Hello? Log out of WebEx, please. Oh,
Oh,
can you
hello?
mute your computer or the WebEx and just stay on the phone?
Okay, I'm on the phone.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, does that help?
Yes, greatly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the problem with the extension is that it adjoins to my property. The properties were built so closely together that there's no way that the property next door at 80 Commonwealth can be maintained without climbing onto my property. And they're doing this without my consent and when I'm not home. And there's a lot of, the extension also looks into my window, that's the only window on that side. And I cannot open the window, one, because they're smokers and they're constantly smoking out there. Two, it looks into my washroom, and when I close my washroom door, I don't have ventilation in there. It causes mildew buildup. And so I just did a renovation last year because it was so significantly impacting us that we all have asthma in here. I spent $12,000 to do a new washroom, and now they insist on the extension, even though I addressed it with them. Within 24 hours, another structure went up, and I'm not sure what I need to do in order to go. I've been dealing with this issue for the past 3 years now, and it's getting out of control because the people right now I have at least 10 feet of snow on top of my garage, which is between the extension and my property, because there's no way for it to go. The properties are literally joined together. And on top of that, they're using the property as an Airbnb, the extension, as an Airbnb. We have people constantly in there, lots of noise. There's an increase in break and enters. Vehicles are being broken into. My son's car was actually broken into and his sunglasses disappeared. So I have a number of issues, and I'm not sure who I need to address it with.
Okay. All right, Vijay, I hear you completely, and I'm sorry that it's causing you grief and pain. But here's the thing, Vijay, I can help you with the application that's before us today. Unfortunately, what I cannot help you with is the concerns that you've raised around the other issues or other concerns. I would say speak with city staff. I guess if you have concerns with.
Sorry to interrupt you, I have contacted the building authorities. Nobody's getting back to me. I've been around with the city. I've been calling in 311 for the past 2.5 years. And I've been around in circles. I dealt with the mayor first for our neighborhood, all kinds of stuff. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. I also suffer from a lot of disabilities. And I voiced to one of your personnel this morning, I'm on painkillers. The little bit of time that I have for myself in order to maintain my health and my family, I'm spending running behind this because it's a major concern for us.
Okay, you live at 82,
I'm not
right?
getting a clear-cut path.
Okay,
I'm at
again.
82, yes.
Okay, so let me sort of bring you back to this application. So you live at 82, and the variance application is for the second floor addition that's at the back, and you have explained to us how. So again, I'm not familiar with where your bathroom windows and those things are, but it's related to the addition at the back, and the two requested variances that are being discussed today is that the building is a little closer than where it should be. So the building is required to be at 0.3 meters, and what is being proposed is 0.15, so half of it. So 0.3 meters is approximately a foot. What is being requested is 6 inches. So there would be a 6 inches setback from the property line. And I don't know.
May I interrupt you now? May I interrupt you, please? Because I'm with regards to these measurements, the distance between our two houses at the prior to the addition, I cannot fit in between, and I'm not a big person. With the present state of the building right now, this addition is joining to my property. So there's no actually meters, inches, there's no centimeters.
Okay.
It's actually joined to my fence. So there's no way these people could get on. They did what they did. They had to climb onto my property to do that.
Okay, can you
And
take
I'm
a,
not giving consent to that
yeah,
because I've spent a lot of money to maintain my property and to do additional repairs. And now that that's there, it's causing additional problems.
okay,
And there's no way, if they need to maintain that stuff, that they can do anything on it. I've brought in people to come and look at what is going on. There's no way there's anything can be done without them stepping on my property. They're doing it without my knowledge.
okay,
And the
then,
garbage is being left there.
so those are the matters that we can, I'm glad you're speaking with us and you're bringing this to the attention of staff and the applicant. All I can help you is convey this part of the conversation to them through this discussion, through this forum. So they're here, they're listening to you, they are hearing your concerns about how they are not seeking permission from you to access your property, to do the works that they have to do. And we have an applicant with us, and we are going to be conveying this to, and he's listening. So he is hearing you loud and clear, but I want you to
I hope
understand.
so, because the very next time they
Okay.
need to do anything, there's going to be a
Okay.
deposit to do any sort of construction, and within limits. There's got to be a lawyer involved.
Okay,
I'm not going to
I'm
allow
sorry.
anybody else. We had to put in cameras
Okay.
in order to accommodate this.
Okay, I appreciate your concerns and your frustration, Vijay, but I'm not going to repeat again things that are not under our purview. The applicant is here; he would be able to respond to it. So I appreciate the time you took to speak with us. Again, I'm going to say these are matters that are not under our purview. Please contact the departments and the city departments to talk to them. So now I'm going to go to the applicant, Peter McAuliffe. Oh, sorry, Patrick McAuliffe.
Yes.
Patrick, so you heard the concerns.
Well-
From what I'm hearing, there's a lot of concerns with regards to matters that are not related to this application, and I'm hoping that you've heard them and made some notes of those.
Well, the house is not built, the original house was not built parallel to the property line. And the northwest corner of it is pretty darn close to the property line. The addition that was built on the first floor, again, is right up close to the property line. And there's nothing we can do about that because that's the way it was built 40 years ago. And that is what we're here to address. The addition we're building over top of it is 1 foot back from the property line, which is the required setback. So nothing of the new work that we're doing is contravening the zoning bylaw. It's only the existing addition that was built 40 years ago. Even the existing house is not part of this because it is the existing house. It's only that addition that was built on 40 years ago. So I feel for her, but we are doing our best to make things better with this addition by keeping it to the required zoning setback.
Okay, so Eric, can you go back to the zoning, to the site plan, and just sort of closely zoom into that area of addition, that square? Just take even more. I just want to, if Vijay is watching, I just wanted to show her that 0.07 to existing, that the original house is there. It's the way it was built 40, 50 years ago, as based on what the applicants say. The addition that is being proposed at the back is what this application is for. The required setback is 0.3. They're proposing at 0.15. Nothing of the existing is being changed to this application. I just wanted to confirm that with everyone and with Vijay as well. And Patrick, the other matters related to trespassing and all those, I leave this with you in your hands, and you can please convey to the owner that should not occur.
Sorry?
Matters related to
I'm
trespassing.
sorry, was there a question there?
No, I was just making a comment that, yeah.
There's nothing that I can really say about that. The people in the house, they keep their distance. There's nothing that we can really say about it.
Okay. Yes, Igor, go ahead.
Madam Chair, just to clarify, this is what we're voting on is to legalize what was done for 40 years. From what the applicant said, the addition that they're doing is as of right. Is that correct? We're not here because of the addition. We're here because of what is already there.
Well, there are two things that are already there. There's the existing house that's already there for 40, 50 years, which didn't comply with the setback. And then they proceeded with adding an addition, a second floor addition, which also does not comply. So there's nothing that could be done with what was there since 40 years, but the current bylaw requires a 0.3 meter setback for any building, which is not being met in this case. It's 0.15. So when we're reviewing these applications,
is.
we're considering these as like
It is
blank.
met.
Go ahead.
Is being met. The addition is a foot back, 0.30 back from the property line.
It's 0.15 meters.
The addition is,
The first floor original addition is 0.5 meters back from the property line. But the new addition that we intend to build is 0.3 back from the property line. It's only the part that was built 40 years ago that is contravening the bylaw.
yeah, my understanding, Madam Chair, is that they can build the second edition as of right. If they wanted to tomorrow, it could be built. The only thing that is, why we're here is to legalize what it was done decades ago.
Madam Chair, this probably is not the correct application. If we're not in the position of legalizing what was done 40 years ago, that's a different application that they need to make if they want to legalize it.
Staff, can I have some clarification,
No,
please?
I don't believe so. First off, the second floor addition is allowed to be built up to a foot from the property line, 0.3 from the property line. That's the way the bylaw reads. You can build up to 0.3 to the property line. So that's not an issue. It's only the first floor addition that was built 40 years ago that is contravening the bylaw.
Okay, Mr. McCallum, I think what the issue is that your proposed development complies with the zoning bylaw. It is the previous stuff that doesn't comply with the zoning bylaw. But we cannot
Correct.
give you a variance application for the previous stuff. That's a different type of an application.
I don't believe it is.
No, I think it is. It
believe
is
it's
not.
part of this.
Yeah, it's not, Member Macaulay. So when they want to do a second floor addition, and for that permit application, it has been identified that existing one-story addition at the back didn't comply, and that's what this is for. It needs a variance to the
If
zoning.
we're dealing with trying to legalize a non-conforming use or a non-conforming condition,
It's not a
that is
legal
not a
non-conform.
variance that we should be dealing with.
Staff, can you please clarify?
Yes, so that's precisely what he's asking for, is approval of something that was built 40 years ago that doesn't comply with the zoning bylaw.
I guess we can get some
Correct, but that's up
clarification
to the
from
committee
staff.
of now to deal with.
Through the chair. This is properly before the committee as a minor variance application. What Member Macaulay is referring to is extension of legal non-conforming uses. In this case, the use is permitted. It is appropriate being dealt with as a minor variance application.
Not-
There can also be an application to extend not just the use, but also the provisions of the zoning bylaw.
Typically, it's embedded in
Need
the
a
zoning
lawyer to
bylaw.
help us out here.
But here's the thing, Member.
I'm sure what we're doing.
Yeah, Member Macaulay, my concern is that this application has been reviewed by appropriate city staff, both building and planning, and they have not. Then this is why the application is before us. Had this application not been appropriate for this purpose, they would have not presented it to us. It's before us. We have to look at it as a minor variance application based on what is being presented. So now that I'm honing into this a little closer, I do see that existing footprint on the ground floor is 0.15, and what is being proposed is 0.3, which complies with the zoning. So it's for that for that 0.15 section that this variance is before us, that this variance application is for. Right there, yes. So that dashed line is demonstrating the second floor addition, which meets the zoning, and then that hatched area, which is at 0.15 to existing, that's what that's the ground floor, is what the application is for. Right there, perfect.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so let's, so anything else, Patrick, before we go into committee?
No, except for the fact that this is for an existing condition that we basically have no control over. There's nothing we can do about it. It's there, and it's been there for 40 years. And what we've done is basically try to avoid that problem and build the new part, which meets the zoning bylaws.
Okay, thank you. All right, committee, if there are no further questions, we'll take this into committee.
I believe what Patrick is doing is legal and gets him a building permit with the correct building setbacks. That's not what this variance is for. And I'm sorry, I don't think that we have a variance to legalize the 0.15 meters that was built 40 years ago. He doesn't even need a variance for that.
I can't help you with that, Member Macaulay, as much as we may have a difference of opinion, but what I can say is, here's an application.
Through the chair, this has gone through a zoning review as well.
He shouldn't have an application.
This has gone through a zoning review, and if, and this was identified, this is what triggered the minor variance application.
Okay, whatever staff says.
Member Igor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm prepared to put forward a motion for approval. I just wanted to give a quick comment, which is just towards the applicant. I mean, they heard from the neighbor and what they said, and if there's any room for the applicant to work with the neighbor to come to some kind of conclusion or agreement around the items that they said, I feel for them and what they're going through. This is a very interesting property because of how narrow it is. It's significantly more narrow than any of the properties I think that are adjacent to it. And so knowing that and how tight it is and how workers and construction workers may be blurring the lines of, where they're doing their work, if extra sort of care can be taken with regards to that, I think the neighbor would appreciate it. And I think it would resolve quite a bit of tension that exists. So I'm happy to put forward a motion for approval on this application.
Thank you. Member Igor puts forward a motion to approve the application. May I have a seconder, please? Member Gary, please go ahead.
Yes, I'll second that motion to approve, Madam Chair. Wouldn't mind making a further comment to Patrick. I'm just wondering if the current owner that he represents, if they could consider frosting glass in a bedroom if it happens to face toward the neighbor. In any event, just something that he could raise with them. But otherwise, I second that motion to approve.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? All opposed? Member Macaulay opposes the motion. The motion gets carried, and the application is approved. Thank you. Okay. We go to item 22, which was held for discussion. Item 22 is 24 North WOODROW Boulevard. Can we please have the applicant, Muhammad Afzal?
Yes, madam. I'm Muhammad Afzal. I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. Mohammed, we have your application for a minor variance You are proposing to demolish the existing building to construct a new home, and you have 3 variances on this application. Do you have any comments at this time, or do you want to make a presentation, or do you want to go right into questions and answers?
I would rather go to question and answer because in my opinion, these variances are minor in nature and they meet the all 4 criteria for the acceptance of this application.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for the applicant? I see none. All right, okay. I'm sure there will be more as we go through the discussion. So let's move on and speak with the neighbor who has registered to speak, Claudia Frangolo. Claudia.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Claudia. So Claudia, please state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to speak.
So my name is Claudia Frangolo. My address is 33 North Bonington. However, I'm speaking on behalf of my father, the neighbor at 22 North Woodrow. I have no concerns, but I just have 2 questions, please.
Sure.
The question number 1 is we have known the owners of that house for many, many years, and there was once some discussion about asbestos. We'd just like to know what the process is for the demolition and making sure that that is secure.
Okay, so what I can do is I can tell you that we don't have that ability to respond to that question, nor do we have the information. Any demolition would require to meet all the standards and requirements of demolition through a demolition permit, which is obtained by the owner, or which would have to be obtained by the owner from the building department. So if you have concerns regarding asbestos in the building, or if you have any concerns with the demolition, please contact the building department and flag that as a concern, so that when the demolition permit is being dealt with by building staff, they can look into that situation for you. But I can confirm that any demolition would have to meet all the requirements and standards of removal of the materials from the building.
Okay, wonderful. And I suppose my next question would be in the same vein, is that they're proposing to have the parking pad in the front of the house, which is fine. However, my father's plumbing, I guess, runs in that area, and we just wanted to make sure that it won't be disturbed. I suppose in a best case scenario, it won't, but I'm not sure if there's any insurance that we could, I guess, reassurance that we could be given today.
Okay, so similar to my previous comment, those matters are dealt with through the building permit stage, and any permit that's issued for any development ensures that it meets all the requirements of the Ontario Building Code, and which means that there will be no adverse impact to adjacent properties, including any impacts on existing infrastructure or services that the adjacent properties have access to. So all those matters will be dealt with through the building permit stage. I mean, if I can just give you like a quick one, a building permit requires very detailed drawings of servicing and whatnot, and it has to show all the utilities on the property. And if such utilities are identified that are serving your father's property, every assurance will be made to ensure that there's no interruption or there's no impact to those services.
Okay.
And again,
Wonderful.
if you wish to have that concern discussed with the building department, please do so. Contact the building department, let them know of the address, and they should be able to help you with that as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. This has been very interesting.
Okay.
Participate in. Thanks.
Do you have any comments or concerns with what is being proposed?
No, I think it's great. That house is kind of a dump, and we'd love to see what's going to be put in its place.
Well, I must
No
say
offense to the current owners, they're lovely people.
well, it's refreshing to hear that we have neighbors who are excited to have development in their in the neighbor.
Well, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment that my father's driveway is what separates the 2 houses. So there's lots of space there, and really that's the way it should go. And I feel for the lady that spoke previously. It's a shame that they're building these houses so close together, but this is an old neighborhood with lots of space when priorities were different.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment. So I see that you have no concerns with the application, so thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. So I'm coming back to Mohammed
Okay.
Afzal. Mohammed, you heard comments, and there were no concerns, actually. It was, she had some questions around clarification. So again, I'm hoping you've taken some notes there, and that, being a good neighbor, you will speak with the neighbor to provide some assurance to the neighbors as well, that there will be no impact on their property as it relates to servicing or other issues.
Yes, we will do.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, do you have any questions? I see none, okay. Just a quick question for you, Mohammed. We did receive recommended conditions of approval from Urban Forestry as well as Metrolinx. Is that a condition, staff, from Metrolinx, or is that a comment?
Through the chair, that's a condition.
That's a condition to grant environmental. So, Mohammed Afzal, have you read those conditions from Metrolinx and Urban
Yes.
Forestry, and do you have any concerns?
No, we are we are trying to get the approval from to get into easement agreement with Metrolinx. The owner's lawyer is in contact with the concerned person there.
Okay.
Similarly, we have arborist report, and we applied for the tree removal and replacement at the site. So we are okay with these conditions.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any comment, any question? Okay, I see none. All right. Can I then please have a motion? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the applicant as well as to the neighbor. Very positive feedback, and it was really good to hear from a good neighbor. Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item 22, subject to conditions of Metrolinx as well as Urban Forestry condition number 3.
Okay, great, thank you. We have a seconder, please. Member Igor, please go ahead.
I'll second that motion for approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been approved unanimously. Thank you. And that brings us to the
Thank
end
you,
of the
ma'am.
agenda. And is there any other business, staff?
Through the chair, there is one T-Lab hearing that, or T-Lab decision that was issued since the last hearing. It was at, I believe, let me just pull it up here,
215 Gray Abbey.
215 Gray Abbey. And it's there for your information.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that's great. We did receive it and had an opportunity to read it as well. Okay, members of the panel, just wanted to confirm with you any other business? I see none. Okay, if there is no other business, then can I have a motion to adjourn to until the next meeting, which is April 4th? Motion to adjourn? I will move the motion to adjourn. Seconded by Member McKay. All in favor? Motion's carried. The meeting has been adjourned. Thanks, everyone. See you next month. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Good night.